I don't think you can imagine how expensive it is to hire an off-duty deputy sheriff to dress up as Father Christmas and serve divorce papers to your wife at 8 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Believe me, it's not cheap, but it's worth every penny. When we met behind the garage, he was already in his Santa character. He was just perfect. The man had his own suit, including shiny black patent leather boots. Even his white hair and beard were real. And his eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples were so cheerful, his cheeks were as scarlet as roses, his nose was as cherry in color. Deputy Sheriff Lieberman provided ample padding over his clothes, and his round belly jiggled like jelly in a bowl. Damn. He looked real. Now, are you 100% sure you want to continue? In response, I handed him a briefcase full of envelopes and pointed to a bag full of gifts. I'll see you inside in 5 minutes. Our house was packed with friends and family. They had been eating and drinking for over 3 hours. Laughter echoed everywhere. Friendships were renewed. Everyone was having a great time. Drinks flowed. Funny stories were told. Christmas evening at the McMillions was not to be missed, and I, the kind host, had a heart blacker than the blackest coal and no less evil than the Grinch. My marriage was dead, and only the demand for revenge kept me moving. The floor clock in the living room struck 8 times. Everyone knew what that meant. The grandchildren shrieked when Santa knocked on the front door, and it was so loud that even after 5 minutes my ears were still ringing. Jingle bells jingled, and ho-ho-ho roared so loud it even outshone the noise as he dragged his bag of goodies into our foyer. I greeted Father Christmas with a hearty handshake and escorted him to the chair of honor in front of the brightly lit Christmas tree. Our 4 children gathered all 10 grandchildren to sing a chorus of "Here Comes Father Christmas." I arranged for a good friend to videotape the celebration. I smiled at him, and he gave me a thumbs up. Santa opened the sack, pulled out a perfectly wrapped gift, and announced, "William Jr., have you been a good boy?" From the youngest to the oldest, everyone took turns jumping into his lap, swearing they had been good and demanding a reward. A talking doll for Kristana, a video game for Samuel. There was wrapping paper and torn ribbons scattered ankle-deep on the floor. Then it was the adults' turn to receive their gifts. I announced, "Do not open your present until Father Christmas leaves, or you will destroy the surprise. And no one under the age of 18 is allowed to be here. This is for adults only." That really got the attention of those present. You all have to open your envelopes at the same time. Everyone posed for the photographer and received a red or green envelope with their names printed in gold letters. I heard the wildest speculations about what might be inside the envelopes. Many were hoping for family holidays in warm places. I tried to keep a calm expression on my face, knowing that each of them had a coffin nail for my family. 4 weeks before, I had learnt that my wife, with whom I had lived for 20 years, was the mother of my children, was sleeping with her boss. I won't bore you with how I found out about such a despicable thing. Suffice it to say that I didn't believe it until the detective I hired handed me photographs of the evidence. And now each envelope contained 6 of these high-quality photographs, each one suitable for showing the relationship between Trent Jackson and my now ex-wife at the time of the affair. I resisted the temptation to enclose in the envelopes copies of a greatest hits DVD showing the 2 of them having fun in several locations, including our marital bed. No, this would only be played in court. One by one, our children came up to me and said, "Daddy, you really did quite well this year." My favorite daughter was our youngest, Margie. "Daddy, I'll remember this night forever." "Yes, dear, I'm sure you will." Carol, my ex-wife, looked as excited as the kids when she was finally named. The whore had the nerve to sit on his lap and kiss him. Her envelope was the biggest and thickest of them all. Santa asked, "Are you Carol J. McMillion?" She laughed and said, "Of course I am." He didn't bother to ask if she was a good girl because he knew what was in the envelope. He handed her the bright red envelope and said, "Carol J. McMillion, you have been served." She kissed him again and said, Thank you, Santa. He began to gently lift her off his lap and headed for the door. My lawyer told me I was crazy when I told him my plan. Save your money, you'll need it to pay my bill. I'm glad I didn't listen to him. My revenge was near and I felt good about it. One of my granddaughters handed Santa a bag of goodies for him and some carrots for his reindeer. Before he left, he whispered in my ear, "I hope you know what you're doing." I grabbed my jacket and shouted, "Merry Christmas to you and good night, everyone." Santa was so good I almost expected to see a reindeer sled as I escorted the man in red to his car. I would advise you to leave before your family opens the envelopes. In the afternoon, I stashed my suitcases in the boot and was ready to roll into my Christmas. An empty hotel room in the city center was waiting for me. I started my car and watched Santa pull out of the driveway. I didn't think their scream could be louder than my grandchildren's, but I could hear the voices of adults as loud as bells. I hurried away into the dark night.